Ruslan.
I'm going to be asking this based off of what Brandon was talking about
Okay.
earlier. Number one, as a 28-year-old virgin, one of the things that comes to mind from time to time is, as I look at the situation of some brethren that I do consider true Christians who came to know Christ, is that when I hear their testimony of having gotten into fornicating relationships, things like that before they found Christ, sometimes there is that temptation or the thought process that comes to mind that makes sometimes older virgins like myself think to themselves, even if I do wish I had the opportunity to at least experience that intimacy with a woman before coming to know Christ, understanding the difficulties that could come with that, there's still that desire to at least having had experienced it without feeling left out or left behind in life in general, or missing out on one of life's or one of God's granted, even if it was used sinfully, the idea of missing out on the opportunity to really connect with somebody like that. So I wanted to at least get your thoughts on that particular mentality or that particular temptation, as it were.
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so because depending on what that thing is for you, right, that you feel like you quote unquote missed out on, there's always something else that you'll feel you missed out on, right? So for me, I was sexually immoral before I got saved. However, there was a good amount that I passed up on because I was saved, right? And so I would think, oh man, like if I'm in my flesh, like, all these girls and this could have happened and this could happen, but God protected me from that. Or I could look at it from the inverse of like, I quote unquote missed out on, only having a few partners before getting saved, and then like God literally protecting me. And so what I do, Baptist, is then I take an honest and sober assessment of like where I'm at in life, the fact that I didn't indulge the way I could have by the grace of God, not me being a super gnarly spiritual guy. I just honestly was just stupid and didn't quite understand the cues a lot of these girls were sending me, and finding stuff out after the fact of girls in high school and girls in college and whatever. And I just didn't know what I didn't know. And bro, long story short, when I look at my Christian friends who did indulge and had high body counts and was out here with 20, 30, 40 women before they got married, that does not come without consequences. So me having had a handful of partners came with consequences. It did, into my marriage, that the stuff that I've had to deal with post getting married. The brothers that came with dozens of partners that I'm like, oh man, I could have had all these blah, 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 and then I could have settled down and like really followed you. Those brothers are struggling way worse than me. Those brothers have gone and been divorced. Right? So I think the part that the enemy sometimes will trick us into thinking is that there are no consequences. And there are consequences. There are consequences. And so it's like give and take, man. I wish I was born in a Christian family that didn't allow me to see porn at 5, a mother that didn't let me spend so much time by myself unsupervised, where I could then lose my virginity at 11, then I could have girls over at my house when I was 15. You know what I'm saying? Like if all that stuff had happened, my life would have been way less traumatic, you know what I mean? And it would have played out with way less heartache. Now, granted, in God's sovereignty and God's providence and all that kind of stuff, God worked it all for good. You just don't know the consequences of those things and what that comes with, So some of the dudes I know, man, that love Jesus and they had those wild body counts, like it sounds cool on the outside. Oh, you was with old girl? Oh, you that girl? And then it's like, man, you look at them in their 30s, and they're a mess, or they have a couple kids by a couple different women, and you know the economic impact of that on a man, like kids out of wedlock. I mean, goodness gracious, that's one of the biggest ways to knock you off the game of life. And no disrespect to anybody here that's had kids out of wedlock. There's no judgment, but there is a financial consequence there. There is a spiritual consequence there, and so Baptist, I think you're right where you're supposed to be in terms of you being faithful up to this point. And I think you, again, mentalities, character traits, skill sets, I think God is going to honor that. And you learning the changes you need to make internally to attract a woman. I think you know all that stuff. We don't need to go over that. You know those things that God's been working on you, you've been working on you, so on and so forth. We always think the grass is greener on the other side, and it's not, bro. It really isn't. I promise you, it's not. It's not. You think it is, but it's not.
Yeah, my response to what you're saying is two things. I do feel the assurance that God does have something better in store for me. I really do. I really do feel that, and I am grateful to him for that. It's just Lord knows it is difficult when I say to myself, you know, where's the woman that could at least have and hold and love and cherish type deal. But on the same token, one of the things that God has made extremely clear to me that I started doing was getting therapy in general for other issues that come along with intimacy and sexuality, all that good stuff. So, and to help me, one of the things that God has been doing marvelously through me growing on a more personal walk with him, not just merely theological and maybe having a few spiritual feelings, but like a deep, like a real God is really moving through me and on a more personal level. It's helped me to renounce a lot of the lies I believed about myself and a lot of those kinds of mental health issues. So this is me being a little transparent here on YouTube, but God has been doing a marvelous work with that. There's still some battles, a little combat that I have to go through, but God has been very gracious and very loving very merciful and very moving, very powerfully about that.
Yeah. Baptist, Aisha just dropped in the comments. She said, the grass is greener where you water it. And brother, I just want to encourage you and affirm you, bro. You've been doing the work. You've been watering it. You've been putting in those things that you need to do. You said therapy, all these things, pressing into Jesus. You're a smooth brother, man. Like you're smooth. You're the way you talk. You're old soul. You have a lot of positive attributes, and I think the more you keep doing that work, and you're in Atlanta, right? Like you're in a major city.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not like you're in like Hickville, Tennessee. Like you're in a major town where there's women there. It's not like you're in the middle of nowhere. Like there's women where you're at, you know? So I think as you keep doing that work, as you keep working on the, you know, holistically becoming the version of you to attract the type of person you want to be, I think God's going to honor that, man. And I think just your degree of self-awareness and the maturity that I think that you're exhibiting, I think is going to be honored, man. So keep watering that grass, you know, keep watering that grass, keep being present, keep doing those things you know you should be doing, even if they're uncomfortable. And I do believe it's going to play out, because I've seen brothers more far gone, way far gone, and God bless them with a wife. You know what I'm saying? and I'm like, fam, we was scared for you. Like, we don't know that. We was getting nervous. You know what I mean? And I've seen God bless those people. And it literally happened because of a couple minor tweaks and changes.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Hey, thank you so much for making it till the end of this video. Remember to hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. I wanted to tell you about a free upcoming course I am putting together at mastermyhabits.com. When you sign up right now, you'll be the first to be notified about the course. And in the meantime, you'll immediately get access to a playlist going over my journey on how I went from addiction to freedom forming habits. So make sure to hit that link in the description. I'll see you on the next video.